name's Alicia. I'm going to be talking to you today about the Public Student Loan Forgiveness Program. So I recently graduated from medical school, and I'm going to be starting an emergency medicine residency in the fall. Woo woo! Unfortunately, what this also means is that it's time for me to start paying back the $350,000 that I took out to get through undergraduate and medical school. Like many of you, I've been looking into different options about how to best repay my loans, and one of the things I've considered is PSLF, or the Public Student Loan Forgiveness Program. As many of you know, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this topic. So today, I'm going to talk about why that controversy exists, what the pros and cons of PSLF are, and whether this program might be right for you. So for those of you not familiar with PSLF, it's basically a program stating that after 120 qualifying payments, hopefully 10 years, while working full-time at a qualifying employer, any direct loans that you have remaining after making payments for that period will be forgiven by the government. There's a lot to unpack in that statement, and I'll make an entire video dedicated to breaking that down and explaining what you need to do to make sure you qualify. But today, what I want to talk about is the high number of denials with PSLF and whether you should still consider public student loan forgiveness as a repayment option. There really seems to be two schools of thought on this issue. The first side is firmly against PSLF. They'll cite the 99% denial rate and state that nobody should do this program because it's kind of like winning the lottery, nobody's gonna get it, it's basically a scam. The other school of thought really feels that this is blown out of proportion. They'll break down the list of reasons why people were denied. As you can see, in 2019, the top two reasons that people were denied is because they didn't have qualifying payments or because they were missing information. I often hear people say, well, just get on the right payment plan and this won't happen to you, or make sure you fill out all your information. And while of course this is necessary, I'm not sure that it's that simple. I think like most issues, the truth on this is probably somewhere in the middle. There certainly are people getting their loans forgiven, which demonstrates that this program is legitimate and that if you jump through the correct hoops, it's possible to have your loans forgiven too. But I don't think it's as simple as just filling out the form correctly. Let's dive into the three major concerns that people have when talking about public service loan forgiveness. Number one, legislative changes. One concern that I hear repeatedly is, will there be changes to the public service loan forgiveness program moving forward? While it is true that there have been some proposals to change the public service loan forgiveness program, those proposals were not for people currently enrolled in the program. What this means for you is that if you begin enrollment now, or if you're currently enrolled in the program, and there are changes down the line, you would be grandfathered in. Neither the Obama nor the Trump administration has proposed any changes to people who are currently enrolled. Yes, of course, anything can happen, but it is extremely unlikely that you personally would be affected if you are already enrolled in the program before any changes went into effect. Number two, payment discrepancies. For me, this is a far bigger concern with PSLF. I believe that PSLF advocates are drastically downplaying how much effort this takes and how much documentation you need in order to win these disputes and have your loans forgiven at the end. It is possible to have your loans forgiven with this program, and I believe that the best way to maximize your chance of that happening is to document everything. I can make some future videos going through what you need to document, basically everything from your master promissory notes, evidence of every single payment you've ever made, and every correspondence you've ever had with your loan company. Before committing to this as your primary loan repayment option, you really need to consider if this is something that you're willing to put the work in for. With that said, this can definitely still be worth it. For myself, personally, I would save about $200,000 over the course of repayment with PSLF. Even if I spent an hour every single month documenting payments and arguing with my loan server, this could still be worthwhile for me. Over 10 years, that would be $200,000 in savings for 120 hours of work. Now, if you do the math on that, that would be $1,666 per hour that I put into this. Definitely more than I'll be making anywhere in an ER. Whether this hassle is worth it to you is something that you're going to have to decide personally. That brings us to number three, the limitations on where you'll be able to work while you're enrolled in PSLF. For your employer to be considered eligible, that means that you either need to be working directly for a governmental agency or for a nonprofit. I'll go into a little bit more detail about this in the next video, but for now, I want you to consider whether that's something you really want to commit to for the next 10 years. In residency, this generally isn't an issue because almost anywhere that we matched will be eligible for PSLF. The problem comes when we graduate. A lot of you may be saying, well, for me that doesn't matter. I want to go into academics or I want to work with underserved populations anyway. And trust me, I get it. I came to medical school 100% because I wanted to work with underserved populations. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to work directly for a hospital. Even if you're working directly at a hospital that would qualify for PSLF, if you are not employed directly through the hospital, your loans will not be forgiven. What this means is if you work for a physician group or if you're contracted with that hospital, you're not eligible for PSLF. This would also be problematic for anybody looking to do locums or go into private practice. Let's go over the pros and cons. On the one hand, you can save a ton of money with PSLF. Like I said, I personally could save $200,000. That's money that I could put into investments, into retirement, or grow in other ways. And as we all know, with investing, the most important asset is time. With minimal loan payments, you may also be able to afford a slightly better lifestyle in residency as well as your early attending years. For people with kids or a lot of expenses, this might be something you want to consider. The cons of PSLF is the amount of work that it takes to get through the program, as well as limitations on where you can work. There's also a small amount of uncertainty about whether your loans will actually be forgiven in the end. Will you be able to get all your documentation in correctly? Or will there be changes to the program that make you ineligible no matter what you do? Like I said, I think the second scenario is very unlikely. But that's still a lot of anxiety, thinking that you might go through a program for 10 years while your interest accumulates, then not even be eligible for forgiveness at the end. I get that this is uncomfortable for a lot of people. I'm pretty uncomfortable with it too, and honestly, I'm still weighing my options. If you're someone who's really uncomfortable with risk or who has had problems keeping accurate documentation in the past, this might not be the perfect program for you. On the other hand, if you're a very organized person or if you have an extremely high loan debt, this program could be extremely beneficial for you. Only you can decide if this is the right path for you. There's a lot of factors to consider. How much do you owe? How much will you make when you get out? How long is your residency? What do you want to do with your career? And how high is your tolerance for risk? These are all things that only you can answer. Of course, you can always file the paperwork even if you're not sure you're going to go through the program. It doesn't cost anything to file, and I can help you through how to do that in another video. No matter what I decide, whether I decide to aggressively repay my loans or pursue PSLF, I'll still submit the paperwork just to have a backup plan. Let me know what questions you have in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer them. Also, this is my first YouTube video, so let me know what I'm doing well, what I need to work on, and I promise I'll get better. In my next video, I'll talk about what you need to do to qualify for this plan, as well as how to figure out how much you would save with PSLF versus a different repayment plan. Whether you choose PSLF or a different repayment plan, if you're strategic, you shouldn't have any problem paying off your loans. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what questions you have in the comments below or any videos you'd like to see in the future. Bye!